Meghan was kicked out of the Netflix project by Harry exposed. The reason she became more and more hated. Hello and a very warm welcome back to LVT News Channel. According to multiple sources, in a seemingly cold move, Harry decided to request that Netflix removed Making Markle from the Invictus Games documentary. Apparently, he wanted to avoid facing a lot of criticism and backlash. Now, if this is true, this has to be the first piece of evidence suggesting that Harry has finally gotten his coconuts back and the brain cells contained within. Now, the Invictus officials have been so excited about Meghan accessing her own Invictus expense account for the event. And of course, she was happy to spend a lot of well-intended donation money on herself, including buying some new ill-fitting designer clothing for herself, some jewelry as well as a private jet flight back to the USA a few days after the opening ceremony. I was shocked by the nerve of this woman. I mean, introducing her husband, who, by the way, is the founder of the event, to the competitors at the ceremony, shouldn't have been the other way around. Meghan Markle should be banned from any charity organizations after the way she acted as after being accepted as the Royal Foundation's Heads Together campaign launch in 2016 and spearheaded by the Prince and Princess of Wales and the Duke of Sussex was her idea. I mean, why was it that within a few weeks after they got married, Meghan and Harry and William and Catherine were called the Fab Four when, in fact, Meghan hadn't done anything to help out? Just marrying a member of this important trust fund is not automatically entitled a new spouse to hold keys to the safe if you ask me. And I guess because she wasn't in charge of the money and she couldn't help herself to have how much she wanted, she was also unable to seduce the treasure. Of course, soon enough, Meghan started causing trouble and suddenly the late Queen allowed the two of them to open their own charity fund at Buckingham Palace. While everybody knows what happened there, Meghan decided to start taking a lot of the charity funds for herself. And then, what about the obscene salaries that she paid to the management team? I'm sure there was some ulterior motive there to benefit her. I'm sorry, donors, but you were certainly. Before he met Meghan, Prince Harry actually had a reputation for being rather frugal. But all of a sudden, just a year after they got married, he had to hide to transfer $200,000 from infectious charity into his privately operated travelers fund. That alleged environmental tourism thing, which, by the way, the term environmental tourism doesn't make a bit of sense. I think the only way tourism could be environmental would be through actual travel. And apparently only Harry is allowed to do that, according to U.S. immigration laws. About the Netflix Invictus project, I think Harry had no choice in the matter. If the show is expected to go on. So I wonder, how did Meghan react being kicked off yet another project? Maybe Harry emailed her from Africa or wherever he's hiding right now. I'm not sure, but it does seem like he's laying low at the moment. It looks to me like the only current footage we've seen of him as. And for many people, it's not a case of whether they dislike Meghan or distrust her. In fact, most people dislike her because they distrust her. Her supporters are going to insist it's all because the media has poisoned people's minds with all their negativity about Meghan that the people were prepared to dislike her by the media that got bored was saying good things about Meghan. And so they decided to expose some type of underbelly. That is not the case. Overall, Meghan Markle is not a very impressive person. She's a minor celebrity who had hobbies like cooking and fashion and listening to the sound of her own voice. She really wanted to be seen with the right people. And she wanted to be seen supporting the. But she's really not all that special. And she certainly doesn't deserve all the accolades and awards that she seems to be getting. But does she warrant all the vilification she gets? Well, okay, probably not. But it is this big discrepancy between goddess and demon that maintains an interest in Meghan. And it's not entirely made up by the present PR. Now, the first time I knew about Meghan was not because I read something about her in a tabloid. It was that engagement interview that she and Harry did. The lens was the BBC. and the agenda was to present Britain's favourite prince and his bride-to-be as a lovey-dovey couple with a pretty remarkable future. But the discrepancies were already there. During that interview, Meghan Markle's performance was filled with enough towels to warn a seasoned observer that the presentation in the packaging distracted from a less wholesome product. Now, at that point, I knew there was something off about her, and many other people thought the same thing. So what makes somebody a seasoned observer? And for some people, it was the Africa interview. That was a real turning point. Now, there was definitely a discernible drop in both Meghan and Harry's popularity in the UK after they did that interview. People who know about narcissists saw the wobbly lip as a pity play, and not many people have asked if I am okay as a smear. It was basic backstabbing and victimhood for the less attuned observer, though. She just offended their personal values of not complaining about your lot in life in front of other people who are less fortunate than yourself. Not complaining about your family in public and not making everything about yourself. She ended up really digging her heels into this victimhood narrative. And she ended up really going after the royal family on the Oprah interview. That was when they introduced this idea of racism and mental health struggles to very charged and untouchable subjects that were guaranteed to polarize opinion and stigmatize anybody who dared to speak out against her. It was manipulation at its. People dislike and distrust Meghan Markle because she's always pulling some card. Her fans are going to insist that she doesn't do that, that everything is real, and that anyone who says otherwise is just this nasty, ugly, racist bully. Well, that is a certain perspective, but it's not really supported by a lot of evidence. And so it went on through podcasts and interviews and even a docu-series. Poor, victimized, misunderstood, hated. Meghan Markle, Duchess Doolittle Duchess, difficult. She is a champion of the oppressed. Remember, she's a voice with a voiceless. She's a campaigner for social justice. As long as it requires minimal work on her part and maximum payoff. How many real humanitarians or philanthropists are activists? Do you know who have to pay a Hollywood PR agency to rebrand them so that they can actually become humanitarians or philanthropists or activists or whatever? And over time, I have come to realize that Meghan has something seriously wrong with her. She was born a liar, and she cannot tell the truth when somebody is a liar. Of course, they're not going to be trusted. She has told so many lies. She has ruined her own reputation and self-respect. And once you lose that, you're not going to get it back. She's also a nasty bully. And people don't like bullies. Meghan identified as white most of her life. And then all of a sudden, she decided to change when she met Harry. I wonder why. Meghan does everything she can to cover up her past, and she gets everybody to fill out these NDAs. I wonder why that could be. Meghan is